The color Aleutian. The company Sherwin-Williams. This is Hue Review, so let's do some reviewing. I'm James from the Paint People, and if you're new here, this is a channel that's all about paint. Paint colors, paint products, color and color theory, and sometimes design if I decide to sort of venture down that path a little bit. Hue Review specifically is the show that aims to review every single color from all the major paint companies, and there's a lot of them, so let's get to it. The way that I like to review colors is maybe a little bit different. I go by the 3 V's: vibe, versatility, and verdict. First, I'll give you the whole essence of the color, and then I'll give you an example of how usable it is in real life, because I think that's very important. And then I'll give you my verdict on whether I actually like this color and whether I would use it and how I would use it. And then for the people that are looking for an off-white that goes with it and maybe a different color that's kind of in the same family, I got you at the end, so stick around for that. And also, before I get into this review, here are some alternative colors from different paint companies that give you a similar essence to Aleutian. These are not spot-on matches, okay? I never said they were. What they do give you are alternative colors in that same sort of blue family that Aleutian is, in case your painter just doesn't want to use Sherwin-Williams, wants to stick with Valspar or Benjamin Moore. These are colors that'll give you that same sort of feel, but the only way to get Aleutian in its 100% purest form is to actually just get a can of Sherwin-Williams. So there, I said it. All right, so let's talk about it. What's the vibe with Aleutian? I keep thinking I'm saying illusion with a funny accent. Aleutian. Just, you know, don't know what country that's from, but just a nameless, vague accent, I guess. What's cool about this color is it is cool because it's blue leaning, but it's also a former color of the month from 2022, which is interesting because if you're a subscriber and you've been following me for a little while, you probably know that the color of the year by Sherwin-Williams is a blue. So even though this was popular 2 years ago, it looks like blue is back in a much more light direction. Check the cards up top if you want to see our color of the year video for 2024. Sherwin-Williams. It's spelled upward. It's actually quite nice. But this is about Aleutian, a much darker blue. And we know how dark it is because we can check the LRV of this paint color, which of course is the light reflectance value. And it has a 39 out of 100. It's only reflecting 39% of the light that hits it, which isn't that much. It's less than half. And in practical terms, I would say this color ends up being one of those mid-tone, slightly darker mid-tones. Definitely gives you a strong sense of hue, of color. Now, blue isn't just blue. It can go into a number of different directions. Namely, in my experience, it goes towards the green side a little bit or the purple side. Aleutian doesn't really have any greeniness to speak of whatsoever. It's kind of this denim blue that I think is really popular nowadays. There is a little bit of a toned down feeling to it. I like to describe colors like this as being dusty, as if they have like a thin layer of dust over them to sort of mellow them out. So it's not just bright, saturated blue in your face. It has a calm feeling to it. It's a little more chilled out and settled, which I think is usually a good thing, especially if you're someone that is coming from a much more passive, laid-back sort of approach to color selection, where you maybe just go for things like gray and beige and you don't really venture too far away from neutrals. This is a color that is still pretty saturated, don't get me wrong, but it's kind of that stepping stone to like the really dynamic primary colors that you probably won't even end up using. It gets you kind of there. Like it's a fun color. So let's talk about versatility next. This is going to be one of the more important things because a paint color's versatility is its practicality. I think if you're painting your home, you don't want to pigeonhole yourself by picking a color that's really vibrant and fun and suits maybe one thing very well, but if you decide to change things up at all in the near future, you don't want to feel like you're stuck painting the wall because it's not going to work anymore. How usable is this color inside versus outside? So on the interior side of things, I would put Aleutian at a mid versatility, which is interesting to me because I was going to say, oh, it's low, it's too saturated, but that dusty quality does give it a little more workability. It's a color that doesn't feel like it's trying too hard, if you know what I mean. It has just that soothing, calmed down feel to it in practicality when you start using it. And I think that's a good thing because even though this color is blue, it doesn't scream coastal to me. It feels separate from any interior design style. I wouldn't go as far as to say this is a timeless blue because this kind of denim sort of feeling blue is not something that has existed forever. A navy blue is a little more timeless to me. I think the fact that it is lighter gives it some brownie points because it's not going to scare people off that don't want those deep, dark, moody colors in whatever space they're deciding to paint. It reflects enough light where it gives you a nice, pleasant feeling to it. Kind of looks a little bit like the sky, really, when you think about it. Although it is on that darker side of midtones as well, so just be mindful of that. In person, it might be a little bit darker than you might expect. On the exterior side of things, I would put Aleutian at a low versatility, which is sad to say. I think the color would look really nice outside on the home, especially if you're from Newfoundland or maybe, I don't know, Amsterdam or Norway. It's not one of those mega bright colors, like, don't get me wrong. I almost feel when you're using a blue outside like this, you don't need to go as blue as you might expect. Even a cool leading gray could look more blue when you use it outside because of the sun having such cool light being cast onto the home. Personally, I think Aleutian is a little too far towards the blue direction where it could stand out a little bit too much. Maybe it would work better as more of an accent color, like on a front door, if you didn't want to go with like a turquoise or something super vibrant. Yeah, it's not a color I would really picture being used outside. Probably more an interior vibe for me. Okay, so let's get to my verdict. What do I think about this color? How would I use it? Where would it go on the Paint People palette pyramid? Is it a main color where you can use it everywhere? Is it a secondary support color that helps bolster that main color? Or is it purely a finishing color that's just more of an accent choice? I would say it barely makes it to the finishing tier of the palette pyramid. And I say borderline because I don't think it's necessarily screaming accent to me, but I think there's enough saturation there where it will end up feeling pretty accentuating when you use it in your home. That being said, I don't think this is the type of color that you only can use in one part of your home and that's it. It's light enough that you can use it in a couple spaces to sort of have a more cohesive flow and a cohesive theme going on. It's one of the more usable finishing colors. In some cases, I guess it could be a support color if you wanted it in all your bedrooms for something really consistent, maybe all your bathrooms upstairs. Those are two of the spaces that I think it would be used most commonly, but I've seen a lot of pictures online of it being used in living areas and kitchens all over, so you can get pretty creative with this one. So that's how I would use it. But would I? I think so. I think Aleutian is a beautiful color. I do like these denim blues, and I haven't used them in a while, especially in my own home. I've never used it, but I think it's a color that interests me. And I don't know if that interest means it's what I actually like, or it just seems kind of fun in theory. I might give it a shot one day. Who knows? If I had another room somewhere and I didn't need to change anything else that's in my house, I could give it a go. Now, before we finish up, I want to give you two other colors that I stumbled upon that I think would go really well with Aleutian, kind of in the same sort of family. So I have an off-white for you, and I also have another color that's going to be a little bit darker. So you kind of have three different levels that all sort of coexist in the same space. So for an off-white choice, Rarefied Air, I would probably recommend. A cooler white, it's pretty crisp feeling, and it actually technically has a icy violet or purple undertone, but it's very passive. It's more just a cool off-white that I think is really nice with Aleutian specifically. And then a darker color that I think would go really well is Distance, which is a 15 LRV color, so quite a bit darker, but still not too dark. I mean, you could go with something like Indigo Batik as well as another option, which is a color I'm very fond of, but it just gives you a little bit more lightness, which can give you a little more room to play. I'll leave you with those colors if you want to kind of mix and match them. And if you want me to make a full-on palette pyramid utilizing Aleutian, just let me know in the comment section below and I'll get on it, because I think we've been releasing them on Sunday. Make your vote. So yeah, if I see enough of you commenting, then I'll do it. But if not, I'll probably do the other color we talked about from Benjamin Moore. And if you want another video, right over here, just check it out.